Glad to hear Aquarius rising. We are talking about the astrology for February in this video. Trust you're doing well. Your ruling planet Saturn is having some aspects and alignments with planets, and that is going to be important for your rising sign. And we're going to be discussing what that means for you in this video with these planetary conversations and combinations. We're going to discuss the full moon that's happening in Leo. We're going to talk about the new moon in Pisces, and of course the planets in transits in this video. It's a busy month, and the key protagonist this month, one planet's always, more active than more, and it's this month it's Mercury. So Mercury is a personal planet. So as well as yourself, Aquarius rising, other people are going through a lot because of Mercury's aspects and alignments. The conversations that Mercury's having throughout the month of February are significant. So if you're observing a lot of activity with people around you, that's because Mercury's so active. So we are all going through it. So heads up there. It would be well advised to have some self-care days throughout the month of February with all the activity, especially with your ruling planet. With that in mind, let's talk about your astrology for the month Aquarius rising. So we're recapping where the transpersonal planets are first. Pluto's transiting in Aquarius. That's your first house. So Pluto will be here for 20 years, tilling the soil of your identity, your sense of self, and how other people see you. Breaking new terrain in the zodiac sign of Aquarius. So big changes going on for the self with this transit with Pluto here for 20 years. Neptune's still transiting in Pisces, your second house, and that's the house of money. The second house is what supports the first house. So it's important when you've got transits in the second house because they're going to have a knock-on effect to you. So Neptune's still transiting in Pisces, your second house. Neptune, the planet of illusion, delusion, connected to the house of things that support you, your skill set, your finances, assets, and possessions, possibly going through moments of creative breakthroughs and also some loss. So take it easy with planets in transits. When we've got aspects to Neptune, they're going to be big deals for the Aquarius risings because that second house is all the things that support you. And we also have Uranus transiting in Taurus, continuing its transit here. It's just gone direct on the 30th of January. I mean, I record these ahead of time, so Uranus is yet to turn direct on yet. But yes, Uranus transiting in Taurus, your fourth house. And Uranus, a planet of unpredictability, liberation and freedom, change, things that are abrupt and swift in your fourth house. Uranus has been here since 2018, not your first rodeo when it comes to ups and downs and absolute fluctuations continuing or that you have been enduring in your fourth house of your foundations, your roots, your lineage, your heritage, your family, real estate, home, property, parents, parenting. Still continuing, but now Uranus is direct. You've certainly developed a relationship with rolling with the unpredictable punches when it comes to those fourth house topics. Your ruling planet Saturn is also transiting in Pisces, your second house with Neptune and the North Node. Now, your second house is going to be very focused for you in the month of February. There's lots of planets transiting in there, and we're going to talk about that, what it means for your rising sign. And so your ruling planet is still transiting through your second house with Neptune and the North Node. And that ruling planet that rules you, Saturn, that's where you're heavily engaged in the second house topics. Your money, your assets, your possessions, definitely on your mind. Finance, things that support you, your skill set. That is where you are putting a lot of heavy lifting in, if you will, with your ruling planet in the second house of Pisces. We also have Jupiter still transiting in detriment in retrograde in Gemini, and Jupiter goes direct this month, so that's good news. And that's your fifth house of joy. So where you have fun. Jupiter's been retrograding here, giving you almost a new way of looking at the house topics of fun in a more optimistic, bigger than usual experience. So I'm muddling up my words here. I don't know why. Jupiter in detriment in Gemini. Jupiter's larger picture, optimistic, likes to expand and grow, and that fifth house of joy and pleasure, that's what you've been wanting to do, but it's been retrograde. So you may have felt like this, just difficult to find joy and pleasure. And the fifth house topics are children, creativity, entrepreneurship, romance, sex, dating, and pleasure. So with Jupiter retrograde, you could have had the brakes turned on in your pleasure zone or restructuring that part of your chart as well with Jupiter retrograde here. But it does go direct this month. So that is very positive for all of us. And I think you're going to be very grateful when Jupiter goes direct in your house of pleasure this month. And it's not too long into the month that happens. Mars continues its transit through Cancer in fall retrograde, opening up the month. Mars does go direct this month. That's your sixth house. Work, health, services, labor, sickness, pets. Mars has been possibly really fanning the flames of excitement or injury or exacerbation when it comes to your day-to-day grind, and especially with your physical body. So Mars going direct this month will be a nice change up for all of us and for you as well when it comes to the sixth house of habitual interactions. We also have Venus exalted transiting in Pisces in your second house, along with the North Node, Saturn, Neptune. So there's been a stellium going on in your second house where your ruling planet is really concentrating on what's mine, and trying to work it out, maybe in a Piscean way, getting creative. Music, art, dance, spiritual practices, religion, philosophizing about life. So Venus has been transiting there, and she is on the move this month as well. And we're going to talk about what that means. Venus will retrograde back into this part of your chart, into your second house. So there's a longer story going on here. Venus did conjunct your ruling planet Saturn already, and she will do this 2 more times. So that is a big deal for you when it comes to Venusian topics that impact your first house of your body, yourself, your identity, and how people see you. So you're going through big shifts, Aquarius rising with Venus. And the guy that we can all look to in the sky for February, Mercury. Mercury's opening up the month of transiting in Aquarius, your first house, co-present with Pluto. So Mercury in the first house, what's on your mind? What's all about you? How other people see you? Maybe you're on the move more. Maybe you're moving around a lot. Maybe you're changing your mind a lot. Maybe you're just doing more things to improve yourself with this transit, and people are noticing that as well with Mercury in your first house. But Mercury is on the move and ingressing into your second house this month, and we're going to talk about that. The Sun opening up the month is transiting in detriment in Aquarius in your first house. So you have the Sun, Pluto, and Mercury opening up the month in your first house in February. So that is a little stellium. That's 3 or more planets. So you have a stellium in your first house. So the hyper focus is the first house with the second house. So Aquarius risings with the Sun in detriment, that rules your seventh house of relationships being Leo. The house of agreements, partnerships, rest and endings. Transiting in your first house, you might be wrapping up some long cycles with relationships or agreements as well with this transit. And you might be ready to bring in something new and fresh when it comes to contracts and partnerships as well with this transit with the Sun in your first house. So let's get into the astrology for the month. Opening up the month, we've got from the 1st to the 2nd, Venus in Pisces conjunct Neptune, and the Sun is trining Jupiter retrograde. So these first 2 days of the month, are a reverberation of the last 2 days of January. It's a continuation, this alignment with these planets. And this conjunction is continuing. So it's like a 4-day event, if you will, with this part of the planetary transit. So when Venus conjuncts Neptune in your second house, this can be the dissolving of an asset or a possession that supports you. This could be ending a course of study that you've been engaged with. You might be ready to let go of a vice as well. So you could be literally cleaning up, if you will, the Piscean part of your chart of self-indulgence and self-medication. So you might be leveling up within yourself and starting to go, I don't need those vices anymore. I need to let them go. They don't serve me. So that's quite helpful when Venus conjuncts Neptune. And Venus is about relationships and harmony and being very social. So you might be really just letting go of a relationship or a connection to the second house topics of assets and possessions and wanting to let them go, dissolve Neptune. And you might want to start to create new dreams when it comes to things that support you with this Venus conjunct Neptune from the 1st to the 2nd. And at the same time, when the Sun trines Jupiter retrograde, this is even really doubling down on the message of you have more of an eye on a prize when it comes to your joy and how relationships, agreements, and contracts influence that. So this could be about a frank conversation. This could be a declaration of I'm in and out. I need more joy and fun. And this is how I do it. I let go of things that don't serve me and I take on new dreams and themes that support me and make me feel quite secure within myself. So these 2 days of the first month of this, February, they're quite impactful for you, Aquarius rising. Moving on to the 4th, we see Venus leave Pisces. So we have Venus stepping into Aries now in detriment in your 3rd house. In short, Venus will struggle with this transit in Aries because Aries, the planet that rules Aries, is Mars. He's fast, he's swift. And Venus is more, hey, let's take our time. I want to unite. I want to cruise. So she'll struggle, in short, with trying to keep up a momentum, keep up a pace in your 3rd house of short distance travel, siblings, cousins, aunts, uncles, communication, teaching, writing, learning, vehicles, technology. There's a lot going on in that 3rd house, your neighborhood. So trying to harmonize with those topics and themes of the 3rd house will be a little bit of a stretch, but you can do it. All you need to do is get more creative. If you're feeling a little bit blocked with those subjects and topics, then get creative. How can you get savvy and street smart? What can you learn from the potential conflicts or blocks when it comes to your immediate environment? Maybe with Venus here, you can be more charming and alluring. You can be more social and engaged instead of separate. Maybe you can steer people your way of thinking with this transit. So all is not lost, even though Venus is in detriment in Aries. So she'll be in this zodiac sign, your 3rd house, for the rest of the month into March. Jupiter on the same day on the 4th, yay, goes direct in Gemini, your house of pleasure and fun. It's at 11 degrees for all the astrological nerds out there, like myself. That's not a judgment. So the 2 benefics are shifting on the 4th, and that's positive for all of us, and especially when Jupiter goes direct. So the options, variety, and diversity to have more fun when it comes to your house of joy, get creative, hang with kids, talk about kids if you don't have them, intimacy, sex and dating, even hobbies can go in a new direction. There's plenty around, if you will, in regards to fun. And now Jupiter's direct. It's almost like you're just bamboozled by just how much you've missed or haven't seen that gives you so much fun and pleasure on the day-to-day now that Jupiter's direct. So that's quite positive for you as an Aquarius rising, as it trines your 1st house. Moving on from the 6th to the 12th, your ruling planet Saturn trines Mars retrograde. So the two malefics being Saturn and Mars, when they come together and they agree in a trine, what you're agreeing with and what's easier to deal with on this day is talk about the things that are hard to talk about when it comes to your money, your body, health services and labor, and people around you on the day-to-day can help you, or at least you can just get rid of things that are just too much for you, not coping. If you need a pay rise, this is a great time to pitch to a boss, because it is to do with work and labor. So you might just go, look, I'm really putting in the hard yards here. I deserve more. So these are the days to do it, from the 6th to the 12th. If you're a planner, just to have the hard conversations, because with the 6th house trines your second house of finance and things that support you, and your ruling planets trining Mars retrograde, you're more than determined to come to a resolution and reduce things that are exacerbating, that are happening on the day-to-day in the 6th house, connected to work, health, services, labor, sickness and illness, and pets. And whilst that trine's happening, we have from the 10th to the 12th, Mercury and the Sun conjunct in your first house, and it squares Uranus at the same time in your fourth house of foundations. This looks like a pretty exacerbating day. Watch for overthinking, communication or documents that can possibly come up in your focus and have you feeling like you need to take immediate action, because it's disrupting your home, your family, real estate or property, or your sense of peace and tranquility on the day-to-day in a home environment, and potentially some disrupting news about ancestry, your lineage or heritage as well as possible from the 10th to the 12th. So take it easy on these 2 days, because Mercury and the Sun conjunct can be a lot of intel to process, but it will be grading against that fourth house because it's squaring off with Uranus. So in short, try not to get sucked down into a rabbit hole. Could be a day of really considering how your personal freedom and authentic personality may not all be healthy or connected to your family unit or your lineage or your heritage. So you might be trying to go solo here or separate yourself from some family drama. And it's all because of communication. Something's coming in hot. So take it easy from the 10th to the 12th. On the 13th, the next day after the 12th, we've got a full moon in Leo, and that's your 7th house. So that's Mercury and the Sun conjunct. And then the next day, there's a full moon in Leo. So this is a full moon it's only bright because it reflects the sunshine, yeah. So the moon's in your 7th house of relationships, partnerships, and agreements. But it's reflecting the sun, and the sun is the ruler of Leo, and it's in the first house, your house, Aquarius rising. So what does this mean? This means on the 13th, with the full moon in Leo, 24 degrees in the 7th house, that there is a full-on emotional expression from the heart in regards to you blowing your horn. This is a loud and proud declaration day. You are either in or out with a relationship or an agreement, and there's some sort of celebratory excitement about this. And that sounds contradicting, yeah? How can you be celebrating an ending or getting rid of a relationship or a contract? Well, why not? Well, you may have been working in a company for 20 years. Yay, I'm finally done. Or it's been difficult to let a relationship go, and this is the day you go, I'm done. So expect some really high octane emotional excitement on the 13th, and I think it's coming from you, and you are certainly going to be enjoying this day either way, I think, Aquarius rising on the 13th of February. Go you. Then the next day, on the 14th, we see Mercury leave your first house and ingress into your second house. So now the second house of Pisces is really starting to get more focus and attention, if you will, with the planets in transits. And Mercury will be in Pisces for the rest of February into March. Okay, so in your second house, Mercury in full and in detriment in Pisces. In short, Mercury can get a little bit lost and overwhelmed in the emotional details, how to get creative in Jupiter's zodiac sign. This is a Jupiter zodiac sign, Pisces. And it's like, how do I, have an optimistic view about the bigger picture when there's all these minutiae details regarding my skill set that I need, my values, my assets, my possessions, things that support me. There's so much to deal with. Can I deal with it? The answer is yes. You just simply need to get more creative and not get drowned in emotional overwhelmment. And also the mind. Mercury is the mind. Mercury is very social. So where can you get street smarts and get social and connect with some people that can improve your assets, possessions, and things that support you and your skill set? How can you get on top of your money? How can you bring in more resources that support you? You can get creative with this. Doesn't have to be all bad because Mercury's in full and detriment. Just might be a little bit more heavy lifting when it comes to looking at the logistics, the paperwork, and having some conversations. On the 18th, the sun now ingresses into Pisces. Yeah, we're really heating up that second house Aquarius rising. So the sun is leaving its detriment at least. So the dignity of the sun shifts, and that's important. So you might feel really quite good now with the sun ingressing into your second house and getting out of detriment in your first house. So your physical body and your sense of self might start to feel a little bit more like, hey, I'm back in my skin. I don't feel like I have an imposter syndrome. So that's quite healthy. That's good. So the sun will be in Pisces for 4 weeks. So all that draining and overwhelm that Mercury might be experiencing with those second house topics and your ruling planet and Neptune and the North Node, when the sun steps in here for 4 weeks, if you're a planner, plan from the 18th of Feb to the 18th of March to really get things done, because the sun is the illuminator. The sun is about the ideal and the sun is optimistic. So getting optimistic about those second house topics, things that support you. What about your physical body, your assets, your possessions, and your financial standing, your skill set? What can you improve on? Or where can you promote yourself, get yourself out there to bring in the money? Great transit when the sun steps into your second house, joining your ruling planet as well. Enjoy that one when the sun ingresses into Pisces. Then on the 20th, Mercury squares Jupiter. Mutual reception. Jupiter is in Mercury sign. Mercury is in Jupiter sign. So they understand each other even though there's square or there's a tension. So what does this mean? Well, it's going to take a bit of creative juggling of the mind and your resources to create more fun and pleasure. That is for sure. And that simply means, can you really enjoy that international trip, or do you need to rein it in and maybe travel in your country instead? Do you really need to start a big, gym membership with your partner to get fit, or, can you get creative and create a gym at home, or do things regarding getting fit that don't cost as much money? So the tension is, do I have the money to have fun on the 20th? So don't get all swept up in the details, but you might just need to get more creative. Maybe start using your skill set in an entrepreneurial way to bring in more finances for yourself, Aquarius rising. That's a possibility too. On the 20th, so you can hear with the astrology and the planets in transits and alignments that Mercury is really kicking it up. Mercury really is the instigator. Then the next day, no, not the next day, on the 23rd, Mercury trines Mars retrograde in Cancer in your 6th house. So Saturn, your ruling planet, trined Mars retrograde earlier in the month. And now it's Mercury's turn to trine Mars retrograde in your 6th house of work, health, services, labor, pets, illness. So when Mercury trines Mars, you could get a contract. You could find a service that can benefit you regarding your assets and possessions or a skill set. So you could be working with new team members. You could be connecting with services that help you regarding your health or your finances. So this is like finding an accountant, a dream accountant that can show you the financial road ahead and how you can build wealth for yourself. But the 23rd, so it's like a good day for having some healthy conversations, looking at the paperwork with a fine tooth comb and how your resources can benefit regarding services, work, health, and labor. Maybe you need to start promoting yourself, Aquarius rising. You can do a lot more than you're probably doing. And I think the planets and transits in your 2nd house of finance might be indicating that for you. There's a wealth of opportunity. Get yourself out there. Then on the 24th, the next day, Mars goes direct in Cancer, your 6th house. So this is great. So things are slowly going to start to move when it comes to those 6th house topics we've been talking about. So that's quite positive. This 6th house trines your 2nd house where your ruling planet is, and Neptune and the North Node and Mercury and the Sun. So from the 24th, things are looking really good as far as executing actions and plans with health, work, services, sickness, labor. Great. Really positive. The street smarts are there. You know your emotional compass, what makes you feel good on the day-to-day and what doesn't. Getting rid of habits once and for all, cutting away things that don't serve you, possibly having some medical procedures to make you feel your absolute best. Now that Mars is going direct, you are just getting a job done. You're whistling while you work, which is lovely. Then on the 25th, Mercury conjuncts your ruling planet Saturn, and on the same day we have Venus sextile Jupiter. Fabulous day. This is really good news regarding making a decision that's financial or ending a study journey. So you've ended a course or you start a new course. You let go of a possession or an asset that brings in more money for yourself on the day-to-day, or you land a lucrative contract. Either way, expect good news on the 25th when Mercury conjuncts your ruling planet. As like the Mercury Sun conjunction in your 1st house earlier in the month, now Mercury coming in and conjuncting your ruling planet that rules that 1st house where the Mercury Sun conjunction was. You are really starting to motor and take some action when it comes to the 2nd house. So that's quite positive. And with Venus sextiling Jupiter from your 3rd house to your 5th house, this could be a new environment, a new car, a new relationship that you're developing in regards to education, short distance travel, or your community. When the two benefics agree on the same day as a Mercury conjunct Saturn, your ruling planet, you're all in and engaged and you are moving forward with confidence. So enjoy the 25th. Ending the month, we have on the 28th, a new moon in Pisces in your 2nd house. It's at 9 degrees for all the astro students out there or followers with their natal chart. New moon in Pisces, there is a new beginning opening up in your 2nd house. So this is like improving the body, mind, spirit, and soul, and how your skill set and your physicality and your finances and what you can bring to the table is all possible, and getting it out there in a Piscean way, creative, being nurturing, sacrifice a little to love a little, man. It's a beautiful new moon in your 2nd house. Expect your assets and money to grow, and it's certainly going to be supporting you in a big way in the future. Really nice way to end the month with so much activity indeed. That's your astrology for February. A lot going on, huh? And again, it is Mercury, but your 2nd house is on fire. So I think that's where you're super focused and on yourself as well, 1st and 2nd house for you. And also the work, health, services, labor, and sickness house, the sixth house, is super active. Relationships will be up for grabs, whether they're contracts or partnerships. That is the super focus, as well as trying to inject some fun and joy and energy back in your house of pleasure is your focus for February indeed. And for all the lovers out there that celebrate Valentine's Day, wishing you a happy Valentine's Day on the 14th of the month. Till next time, if you have any questions or interest in my astrological services, you needn't look more further than contacting me at my email, beingcosmic101 at protonmail.com. Till next time, Aquarius rising, stay cosmic.